Hello students, good afternoon. You welcome to the online classes of Government College Chabra. Today we are going to talk about some literary terms in the series of the lectures literary terms. This would be very helpful to understand literature. So let's start. Abstract diction or abstract imagery. Language that describes qualities that cannot be perceived with the five senses. For instance, calling something pleasant or pleasing is abstract, while calling something yellow or sour is concrete. The word domesticity is abstract, but the word sweet is concrete. The preference for the abstract or concrete imagery varies from century to century. Philip Sidney praised concrete imagery in poetry in his 1595 treatise, Apology for Poetry. A century later, neoclassical thoughts tended to value the generality of abstract thought. In the early 1800s, the Romantic poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Shelley once again preferred concreteness. In the 20th century, the distinction between concrete and abstract has been a subject of some debate. Ezra Pound and T.E. Hume attempted to create a theory of concrete poetry. T.S. Eliot added to this school of thought with his theory of the objective correlative contrast with concrete diction, concrete imagery. So we can say abstract diction or abstract imagery is related to the language that describes the qualities that cannot be perceived with the five senses. And it had a long history. Sometimes the poets prefer for concrete dictionary and sometimes abstract diction or abstract imagery. It was a matter of subject in the 20th century. Ezra Pound and T. Hume, theory of concrete poetry. Again, T.S. Eliot, objective correlative. Okay. Next, abstract poem. A verse that makes little sense grammatically or syntactically, but which relies on auditory patterns to create its meaning or poetic effects. So, this is a poem which relies on auditory patterns rather than grammar or syntactic syntax to create its meaning or poetic effect. Dame Edith Sitwell popularized the term. So this term was popularized by Dame Edith Sitwell. Considering this verse from the equivalent of abstract painting, Destuge 7, Sitwell's poems from her collection facade are samples of this genre, including her poem Hornpipe. A sample from this poem appears below. Sky rhinoceros glum watched the corsage of the breakers, rocking horses, and with a glosses, Lady Venus on the settee of the horse hair she coated in Deutsche 7. So, abstract poem relies on auditory patterns to create just meaning or poetic effect. And this term was popularized by Dame Edith Sitwell. Here you have been given an example for that. Abugio. Abugio, a type of catharsis known as the mixed metaphor. The term is often used in derogatory manner. See, so, abugio is a type of catharsis known as mixed metaphor, is often used in derogatory manner. A catalectic, a normal line of poetry with the expected number of syllables in each line, as opposed to a catalectic line which is missing an expected syllable, or hypercatalectic line which has one or more extra syllable than word normally be expected, perhaps due to anacrusis. So, this is related to the line of a poetry. So, this is normal line of a poetry, and this is opposed to catalectic, which has a less syllabled, or hyper catalectic line which has one or more extra syllables than would be expected normally, or the reason for this is crucis, catalexis. We will discuss this later. And something have been told you while talking about a catalectic. Now we come to the accent. A recognizable manner of pronouncing words often associated with a class, caste, ethnic group, or geographic region. Thus, Americans might be able to discern a Boston accent or Texas accent by sound alone, or they might place a foreign speaker's origin by noting a French or Russian accent. The degree of stress given to a syllable, an important component of meter. Any diacritical mark Acephalus from Greek headlash. Acephalus lines are lines in normal iambic pentameter that contain only 9 syllables rather than to the expected 10. The first syllable, which is stressed, counts as a full metric foot by itself. All acephalous lines by definition are catalectic. So acephalous is also related to the lines of a poem which has 9 syllables rather than expected 10. The first syllable, which is stressed, counts as a full metric foot by itself. The acephalous lines by definition are catalectic. Acmeism. 1912 Russian poetry movement. So, Acmeism is a Russian poetry movement of 1912 reacting against the symbolist movement. Hawkins first. Acmeists protested against the mystical tendencies of the symbolists. Protested against the mystical tendencies of symbolists. They opposed ambiguity in poetry, calling for a return to precise, concrete imagery from abstract imagery. So, this is a Russian poetry movement reacting against the symbolist movement of Harkins. Acmeists protested against the mystical tendencies of symbolists. They opposed ambiguity in poetry, calling for a return to precise, concrete poetry. Prominent members of the movement include Nikolai Gumilyov and Sergei Gorodetsky. So these are the members: Nikolai Gumilyov, Sergei Gorodetsky. Acronym from Greek acronyma, tip or end of a name. A word formed from the initial letters in a phrase. A word formed from the initial letters in a phrase. For instance, many Caucasians in America are called wasps. In this acronym, the letters WASP stands for the first letters in the descriptive phrase White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, WASP. Acronyms are quite common in governmental bureaucracies, in business, in political jargon, and in high-tech products. Other examples include AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, NIMBY, not in my backyard. OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. In the realm of technology, we find that radar comes from RADAR, radio detection and ranging, and laser from light applications by stimulated emission of radiation. In general, acronym must appear with period to indicate the abbreviations. As the term becomes more widespread, the period vanishes and eventually the capitalization falls away as the word enters common usage, example Gracia, leisure. Note that acronym contrast with alphabetism. Contrast with alphabetisms in which the word is pronounced aloud by using the names of the actual letters such as the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, which is pronounced as three syllables. If it were a true acronym, IRS would be a one syllable word rhyming with verse. Acronym and alphabetisms are most useful when they allow a speaker to create a new, short, efficient term for a long and vitally phrase. They are least useful when they obscure the truth, when they enable technobabble, and unnecessary jargon. Even English historical scholarship has fallen into the habit commonly referring to the historical great vowel shift as GVS and the Oxford English Dictionary as the OED to give two examples. Contrast with anagram. So, all these literary terms are enough for today. Next, we